Hello, my darlings. I'm Seren Briar, and welcome to BiteNotes, the recap show for the Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle ATL by night. Tonight, we look back at Season 2, Chapters 3 and 4. Now, let's sit back, relax, and recap a vampire story. Chapter 3, Sign on the Dotted Line. Over the past few days, Falcon and Dot have been working hard behind the scenes to try and keep the city in line, and Patrick has given Erin some information about Dr. Amanda Gilbert. Her first husband was a prisoner of war, later presumed dead, and she's currently a professor at Emory University. Anton thinks that it would be a good idea to reunite Tilly with Dot and Falcon, and Erin and Melisande accompany him to Proctor's house to retrieve her. They use farming implements to part the ropes in the basement, although Erin slips and accidentally touches one. It hurts badly. Tilly is still tied to the chair, exhausted and definitely worse for wear. The flowers around her have all wilted. She seems to have recovered from the incident with Catherine, but is strung out and unsure of when she last ate. Anton cuts her free from the chair, Tilly nearly biting him before coming to her senses, and then they bring her upstairs. Mel gets her a change of clothes and calls Falcon. Falcon warns Melisande that Tilly hasn't eaten in days, but would be too proud to admit how hungry she is. They're going to have to give her some food, and then bring her to Dot. Erin manages to get Tilly to eat some blood gummies that he and Anton devised, and they take her to the Nosferatu Haven. The train yard is bustling with kindred running around in mild chaos. Anton asks Mouse what's going on, and she informs them that one of the King and Queen buildings, Ventru headquarters, is on fire. Anton promptly texts Thomasina, but receives no response. The shepherds deliver Tilly to Dot and ask if there's anything they can do about the fire, but this isn't within their purview. Alpha was given a job to do as sheriff, and it looks like he might have done it a little too well. On their way out of the MARTA stations, Erin, Melisande, and Anton all receive a text directing them to the Violet Sin nightclub. Once there, a bouncer leads them around to a back entrance, through hallways plastered in band posters, and finally into a hidden, lavish office. They're sardonically greeted by a tall woman with wild hair, decked out in sequins and leather. This is Gracious Moon, the leader of the Glasswalker tribe. They can call her Mooney. Mooney presents the shepherds with a contract, detailing an agreement that the Garou will find and rescue the missing Primogen, in return for clearly delineated hunting grounds and Talbot Rourke's public execution. When this has been completed, the agreement will be reviewed by Mooney and the Primogen Council, and a more complete peace treaty will be formed. Anton is distrustful, but Melisande looks over the contract and determines it to be above board. Since they were instructed by Dot to accept whatever terms necessary to get the rest of the Primogen back, all three of them sign. That done, Mooney informs them that she already knows where the Primogen are. Once Thomasina and Cirrus have signed their copies, the retrieval process will begin. Once the business dealings are out of the way, Mooney allows the shepherds, particularly Erin, to ask her questions about Garou. Erin just wants to know how he can clear his name with her. Mooney tells him that although she gave the order for him to be executed, she's glad he survived. Erin didn't know he was supposed to be put to death.
But
you see, that was all my questions, and now I've got more questions.
You didn't know that.
No.
Sunny didn't tell you any of this.
No, I haven't seen Sunny in 20 years, aside from...
Yeah, she told me you guys had
ago.
Some kind of tearful reunion.
Yeah, it was like all of 5 minutes.
Oh, I assume she told you. Well, that's wonderfully awkward. Yeah, kid, no, you were supposed to die. Sorry.
Great.
Why?
But you didn't, and you're here.
Yay.
Garou have laws. He was trying to become a glasswalker so that he could be with his glasswalker love, and that is not how we do things. Maybe if he was literally any other clan, it would have been fine.
Why could the notion not have been extended to him? Why simply kill him?
You have your traditions, we have ours. You would do well to not question it right now. Aaron's wanting answers. Sunny broke the laws, and the choice was Sunny's life or yours. Sunny chose her own life. I'm sorry. I know that's not what you want to hear. I'm glad you survived. You seemed like a very good kid. Any kid willing to walk out into the middle of the woods and get turned into a Garou, that's a kid that's pretty strong in my book. I really didn't want to make the order. I hope you know that. I hope you can at least understand. It was not something I wanted to do, but I made that call, and I'm glad you survived. I'm just disappointed that this is happening.
Isaac has also done some pretty bad things.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it if you do not take him off of your amnesty list.
Done.
Thank you.
Consider it my closing of that chapter of your life. We can both move forward now, don't you think?
I think I'm always good for new chapters.
Good. Anything else? That was wonderfully uncomfortable.
Once back at the Athenaeum, Anton manages to get in touch with Philip, confirming that he and Thomasina are, at least, safe. Chapter 4. The Devil You Know. It's been a few days since Mel, Aaron, and Anton met with Mooney. Melisande calls Thomasina to check in on her, but she snaps at her and hangs up. Aaron meets with Alpha and asks him about what happened with the Ventru and the fire. Alpha, calmer and more businesslike than Aaron is used to seeing him, explains that he took care of all the other false primogen cleanly, with no additional casualties. The Ventru fought back, but Alpha did what he needed to for Tabitha. In the Athenaeum, Anton attempts to find any information on where the missing primogen might be. He asks something, either hidden or ephemeral, for assistance, and it points him to the name Rossellini. Thomasina invites a fellow Ventru, Ray, over for dinner, and shows him her in-ground aquarium. After all the fire, the water comforts her. Aaron's hunger is rising, and he gets a well-timed text from his blood dealer. Even though Aaron scammed him last time, the dealer has some stock he needs to offload as soon as possible. If Aaron buys these bags for $100, they'll call it square. Aaron agrees and goes to the Athenaeum with 3 unlabeled blood bags that smell faintly of black licorice. Melisande meets him and Anton there. Mel brings up her concerns about the creation of the Renashri Camarilla and the potential fallout and consequences. She calls Thomasina again, but it goes a little better this time. Thomasina is still understandably shaken and angry about the fire, but agrees to come over. In her over 200 years of unlife, Thomasina hasn't witnessed such large-scale destruction from a sheriff. She and Philip managed to hide in Tabitha's safe room, but at least 18 Ventru, over half their number, perished in the blaze. Melisande and Anton join in her fury against Alpha, but Aaron's a little more understanding of his motivations.
Aaron, have you been back to the compound since?
I have, and I've talked with Alpha. I can't begin to imagine that scale. I can't say I'm sorry for Alpha because he does what he does. But I can say that I will do my best to make sure it doesn't happen again. I can't say sorry for something that I didn't do, but I can try to help. That's not the best I can do. That's what I can try to do now.
Well, I guess then there's no hard feelings. In fact, you can tell him, when you next get the chance, that I'd love to have him for dinner. And if he wants to barbecue again, if he wants a real barbacoa, next time I will bring the mojo. Está clara?
I don't think that's going to go over very well.
I don't either, now you think. I mean, it's a really ridiculous proposition trying to be amicable right now.
It sucks. It's awful. It happened. Before it gets worse, we need to make sure that we're not fighting ourselves.
You know, it's a good point. It's a really good point. In fact, one of the things that keeps driving me crazy is that in over 200 years, I keep trying to get a little foothold here and there are interruptions that just abound. Like this. Like having a place that should be perfectly secure. Not only secure, but itself a monument to power. And I can't but kind of guess that Alpha just can't stand that. I mean, of course, that's one of the reasons that he's sheriff. Ooh, he just doesn't take no for an answer, does he?
He saw Atlanta under the Sabbat, where the entire lake was littered with bodies. Both sides. Some even human. And I'm going to take a step back because I don't want to say that.
There's a heavy knock on the front door, and 2 officers from the Atlanta Police Department announce themselves. Aaron offers to go speak to them as a cop himself, but Anton decides to handle it since this is his place of business. Officers Jones and Stella claim to have received a call about a woman screaming at this address. Anton is extremely confused and tries to convince them that it was a false report, but they insist on checking everything out. Thomasina goes upstairs to try and defuse the situation, posing as Anton's girlfriend. She uses awe to assure them that everything is fine, but it's clear that they're unaffected. The cops do eventually leave, promising to send their cutest officer for a checkup in the morning. Anton is immediately suspicious of the blood bags Aaron brought earlier that night.
Every bag that he sold you last time had a name on it.
Mm-hmm. Name,
Do you typically get
blood bag, blood
do you
type.
typically get completely anonymous donors like this?
It's rare, but it does happen sometimes. The times when you've gotten anonymous blood from the past, it has been from higher up people, more blue blood.
I might, so, I don't think well when I'm hungry, and I didn't care. I just needed it.
I'm still making a lot of noise.
You can still come to me. What the fuck are you doing?
Fuck leaving. Let them come back.
What are you holding in your hand?
Keys,
A
forks,
pin.
spoons,
There's a
a
pin.
pen.
There's like a half of a lamp. Like,
I'm gonna gesture towards the drawer of steaks.
oh no.
The spear.
This is not for kindred.
The spear in a glass case.
Fuck the police.
No.
Let them come fucking
Let
back.
Edward Junk Drawer Hands do what she wants to do.
Sorry, I can't say it.
Really? You want to stay? We need out.
Hang on. I would like to see what this is in a place where I can actually maybe figure out what this is before we run.
Yeah.
He attempts to use taste of blood on one, but cannot glean any information at all. It tastes like licorice with a slightly gritty texture. He contacts a fellow Tremere, Dr. Astra Mendez, who's fairly certain that this is just synthetic blood. The dealer was probably trying to offload it quickly in case a lab was looking for its missing inventory. The smell of the blood puts Eren on edge, and he pleads with Anton to let him drink it. Anton doesn't want the strange blood in his home at all, and is certain it can't be a coincidence that the cops showed up on his doorstep the same night that Eren brought it here.
Do not do this. There are hundreds of things going on with the city right now. This is not a big thing. Just one bag.
How much of your equipment do you need here to work with this?
I'm not a chemist. I don't have the ability to study this. What is so special about this?
Because it's mine. And I'm hungry. And you're in my way. Those are 3 strikes. I'm not asking again. I can't take all 3 of you at once. But it would be you first, you next, and Mel last.
That's good to know.
That would put a damper on our friendship.
It would, but this is... Don't make this the thing that breaks us. Cities are on fire. And I don't want to lose this that we're doing.
With Eren growing more and more agitated, Anton finally agrees to let him have some of it, as long as he does it in the sub-basement. Eren desperately agrees. Locked in the darkness of the sub-basement, Eren hungrily downs a mug of blood and starts to feel a pit in his stomach. He's woozy, sad, and uncomfortable, and then it passes. He feels strong and energetic. His hunger is totally satiated, and his wounds from the ropes in Proctor's basement completely healed. While Eren is locked in the basement, Anton calls Falcon. He tells her that something has happened with Eren, but she gets angry with him. Eren is Alpha's jurisdiction, and Falcon isn't at Anton's beck and call. She hangs up on him and calls Melisande. After angrily informing Mel that Anton needs to stop making demands of Primogen, Falcon tells her that she, Dot, and Tilly intend on moving forward with an election for Prince. To that end, each Primogen will nominate their own candidate, and Melisande Leston Brace is the Bruja nominee. Thank you for tuning into BiteNotes. Remember, liking, commenting, and subscribing does not violate the Masquerade. You can view full episodes of ATL by Night on our YouTube channel. We stream Tuesdays at twitch.tv/ATL by Night. Remember to support us on Patreon and follow us on Twitter. Until next time, good night.